Hey, peace and love. My name is Kristen with a D, for those that aren't familiar with me. I am here before you going through my own card pool. Like some of you already know, but others may not. I do pull from this Ask and It Is Given deck. I'm simply just getting messages, downloads, insights, different jewels to consider, different things that Holy Spirit might have for me to consider in this moment. And I've already shuffled and this card has come out. It's come out before for me, but I don't think I've posted about it. So since it came out again, I want to go on and share it. It reads, we are all co-creators within a divine universe. We are all co-creators within a divine universe. Before I even read what this is actually saying, I want to point out that we all exist in a divine universe. The universe, the world around us, the world as we know it, is divine. It was created by the Creator. You know, you put whatever name on that you choose to, but we are creation. And just as the universe is divine, your experience, your existence in this universe is also divine. So whether you're vibing high or whether you're vibing low, you're a divine being. What you choose to do with your divinity is completely your choice. What this card is saying is we're all co-creators within the divine universe. So let's go on ahead and read, and we'll jump back to that statement. Every physical being on your planet is your partner in co-creation. And if you would accept that and appreciate the diversity of beliefs and desires, all of you would have more expansive, satisfying, and fulfilling experiences. Every physical being on your planet is your partner in co-creation. We're all here. And when I say we, I mean other people, other humans that are around you, but also nature. And we are all co-creators. So when you do what you were intended to do, and others stay in their lane and they do what they're intended to do, then we can all move and work together in harmony to create what we desire. Ultimately, what we desire is peace. Like, I don't know anybody that desires chaos in their life. It is very easy to experience chaos in your life, but I don't know that, well, that's not my truth. I also don't find that to be the truth of nature. Nature tends to mind its business. It tends to stay in its lane. The trees tend to do what it do. The bees tend to do what they do. But what I choose to do has an impact on everything around me. If I choose to be trifling when I'm spending time in my yard and I leave trash laying around, that trash is going to negatively impact the other created beings that are out just doing what they intend to do. My trash, my toxicity can very easily impact whomever it is that I'm sharing space with, whatever it is that I'm sharing space with. And vice versa. If I'm sharing space with a toxic being, then that eventually has an impact on me. That toxicity eventually begins to impact me and my experience. And so what this card is saying to me is, first of all, we're all co-creators. Like, we can either work together, or I'm going to do what I got to do to get what I have to get. An example of that is my daughter likes to climb trees. And she's now gotten to the point where she likes to jump out of the trees. Well, she'll jump out of a tree into a bed of dandelions and then wonder why bees are flying around like crazy. Those bees were minding its own business, their own business, pollinating the flowers, getting their food for the day, getting their nectar, doing whatever it was that they were doing when you decided to jump out of a tree and hop down on it. Now, the whole freaking out and panicking like they're attacking you, they're not. They're most definitely looking to protect themselves because your choice has just impacted and interrupted their flow. So now most likely they're trying to figure out what exactly is going on. Not saying don't jump out of trees, but I am saying you need to be mindful. You should definitely be mindful of the choices that you make and how your choices are going to impact your immediate environment. How are your choices impacting those that you are sharing space with? And then decide whether this is something that is necessary. Is it necessary for me to interrupt the flow and the peace of outdoors and nature? If you feel like it is, then by all means go and jump. Now, if you jump on top of a bee and it feels the need to defend itself and it begins to come after you, you can't be looking around like, woe is me. No, you made a choice to not be mindful of those other beings that you were sharing space with. Even down to her wanting to pick flowers. I think it's beautiful. She knows that I love flowers. So she'll go out and she will bring me a handful of dandelions. It's funny. I remember doing that as a child to my parents. She'll bring me a handful of dandelions, but I've had to begin to teach her, hey, what is the purpose of this? Is it just for my beauty, for my enjoyment? If that's the case, let's go walk around the flowers and enjoy them in their own space instead of disrupting what they might be purposed for. Because I guarantee you, their purpose is bigger than my pleasure. So how about instead of picking the flowers, we go and admire the flowers? That's me being intentional in teaching her you're sharing space with creation, other created beings. And just like you are created and you have a purpose, they also have purpose. And if we are going to pick flowers, which there does come a time where we do that, then there's a way to honor and appreciate Great Mother for the provision. There's a way to respectfully retrieve flowers from the ground. Chris, they're flowers, they're dandelions, they grow in abundance. Yes, and they are a gift because they are not mine. I have access to it. I've been granted access to it, and it's very important to remain in a state of gratitude for those things that have been gifted to me. And it's very important that I teach my children that as well. As I teach them to appreciate nature and their environment, I'm teaching them to appreciate themselves. Value yourself. You are a created being. You are a divine being. And as I teach them to do that, then I teach them to value and appreciate other divine beings as well, other people that they come in contact with. But to also be mindful of the energy and the purpose that other created beings bring. How do they impact you? Do they benefit you? Great. Show gratitude. Do they negatively impact you? Great. Show gratitude and clear your space. Seriously though. Still have a grateful heart because there's a lesson in whatever experience it is that you're having with that created being. However, if it is an experience that does not bring fulfillment or satisfaction or purpose, if it is a created being that is simply benefiting from your great energy, from your great existence, and not returning anything unto you, it is perfectly fine for you to clear your space too. You are not obligated to tolerate anybody or anything's bullshit. The cool thing is when it comes to being in nature, nature is minding its own business. Bees, it's a lot of bees in my yard. They don't bother us. They're not attacking us. They're not attacking us because they don't feel threatened by us, because we're intentional in sharing space with them. You share your space, we'll have our space. If it gets to the point where it's too many bees flying around us when we're, in a particular space, we will literally say, hey, excuse me. Thank you for being here. Can you go over there? It's another created being. Why wouldn't I be able to communicate and commune with that whom I share space with? Your buzzing over here is causing more of a disruption than it is bringing benefit. Would you mind taking that somewhere else? And I'm not saying the bees be talking back to us like, hey, but I will say we don't have issues with having to defend ourselves from the bees. And the bees typically don't have issues with having to defend themselves from us. We're not a threat to them. They're not a threat to us. We're simply sharing space. Now, when the wasp started coming around, I started feeling a way. But then I had to stop and correct and check myself, because that wasp is too a created being. I actually started doing a little bit of research on wasp and learned that, hey, they too help populate and pollinate. However, they also help with pest control. So all of the insects and bugs or whatever that mean to destroy flowers, that mean to destroy the environment, the plants and the trees, wasps do an excellent job of keeping those things under control. Guess what? I'm not going to freak out about the wasp anymore. I will respect the fact that, hey, you're in this space for a reason. We have a lot of yard, a lot of flowers, a lot of plants. I'm not gonna lie, I have not cut the grass at all back there, maybe once or twice since I've lived here. And so it's kind of been cool to kind of just see nature do its thing season after season. It's a lot of flowers back there, which means it's probably attracting a lot of whatever. And if the wasps are here, they're here for a reason too. So it doesn't serve me to disrespect the wasp. It doesn't serve me to kill the wasp. It doesn't serve me at all, especially when the wasp, when it is in its lane and minding its business, absolutely brings benefit to me. That's the whole co-creator thing. You're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, and we're both benefiting each other. Almost every time I go outside, if I find trash, which is ironic, but anytime I go outside and I see trash, I tend to pick it up. Because why not? I'm sharing this space. Like, whether the trash is mine, and typically it's not. Like, yesterday I found a couple of anyway. However the trash has gotten there, it's trash and it doesn't benefit my space. So, but it is my space. I'll take responsibility for it. I then benefit the nature around me simply by picking up shit. And in return, we have a yard overflowing with beautiful flowers, dandelions, violets. Trees are actually a lot healthier this year than they had been last year. And I definitely notice a difference. Like, we all impact each other. We all impact one another. But just as sharing space with nature is significant, sharing space with people is significant as well. And if there is something or someone that is in my space that doesn't bring benefit, if there's someone in my space that brings an energy that doesn't serve myself or my children, then it is absolutely my responsibility, just like I'll pick up the trash, to clear that to clear it out of my space as well. Because if I don't, it will simply intoxicate the environment I intend to be in. The opposite is true as well. For those people that are significant, for those people that bring awesome energy and awesome intentions, they're absolutely welcome to share space. But those intentions have to be clear. If I have to guess or if I have to wonder, I am really good with boundaries. I'm really good with boundaries. And a lot of people, just quite frankly, don't like it. But I read today a Facebook post that said, the only people that have issues with your boundaries are the people that benefit from you not having any. Take that however it resonates. I know exactly how that resonates with me. If it resonates, take it. If not, you can leave that exactly where it was, where it was dropped off. But yeah, I'm very intentional in my space. I'm very intentional with whom I allow into my space. I am very intentional with whom I decide and choose to share space with. And I am perfectly fine and I'm perfectly at peace not sharing space with anyone if the season calls for it. Because for whatever reason, there's purpose in that as well. Everything has purpose. Everything has purpose. Everything has impact. We're co-creators. I know what I'm working on. If you choose to try to share space, we don't have to be on one accord. We don't have to believe the same thing. We don't have to be... But we absolutely have to align in values. We absolutely have to align in mutual respect. We absolutely have to align in intentions. Because if not, then it becomes a problem. If it was my daughter's intention to just tear up the yard, that would be a problem to nature. But if her intention is to admire its beauty, then that brings benefit to nature. This is interesting here. I really do enjoy doing these. Every physical being on your planet is your partner in co-creation. And if you would accept that and appreciate the diversity of beliefs and desires, all of you would have more expansive, satisfying, and fulfilling experiences. I'm going back to the bees because the bees have been like one of the most significant lessons in my household lately. The flowers are beautiful. Some call them weeds. I call them by their name, dandelion, and they're beautiful. The purpose of dandelion in my life is 1, admiration, and it's 2, medicinal. The purpose of dandelion in a bee's life is food, is provision. Short-term and long-term provision, actually. And so we don't necessarily have to have the same beliefs about the dandelion, because I don't eat dandelion flowers or leaves. Like I'm not just popping dandelions back like that. I will consume dandelions for medicinal purposes, but I'm not just popping it back for its nectar. Bees are, though. That's a difference. We utilize dandelions for different things. However, I respect the fact that the bees have purpose for those dandelions, just like I have purpose for them. And I only consume them when I feel it necessary to consume them. And by me respecting that, the bees are fulfilled. And as they go from flower to flower, they are pollinating the entire yard, which does nothing but produce more dandelions. So when I do get ready to consume it, we're not operating from a place of lack. We're not having to fight over who gets this dandelion flower right here, because guess what? There's plenty of them out here. Because I respected my role and the purpose of dandelion in my life, and the bee is doing the exact same thing. For me, as an adult, I don't have to believe what you believe. We absolutely have to align in values. I value myself. Therefore, the people that I share space with, you better believe they value themselves as well. That's the only guarantee that you're going to value and respect me in my space. And the only guarantee that I'm going to value and respect your space. You know, a pastor told me years ago, you can't love your neighbor until you love yourself. He was preaching, love thy neighbor as yourself. And I was super religious. I was super stuck in, you didn't preach scripture. Like I was triggered by him reading, love thy neighbor as thyself, and then saying you can't love your neighbor until you love yourself. Ego, a lot, whatever. The point and the purpose of him saying that, and the reason why it triggered me, is because it was absolute truth. How could I possibly offer love and appreciation and respect to someone, and I have not experienced that for myself? If I don't love myself, how would I even know how to love someone else? If I don't respect my own being, what makes me think I have the capacity to respect someone else's? I don't know what that looks like. Because if I did, I would offer it to myself. Why would I offer someone clean water and then consume dirty water for myself? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. I'm more likely to offer the same bullshit I'm ingesting myself. Because if I knew that there was something else, why would I not? This series is called Know You. This series is called Know You because these cards trigger self-reflection. That's how these videos typically end up way longer than I intend for them to be. Because once I get started, it's a self-reflective process. It's a self-reflective experience. And the reality of it is, how can I acknowledge myself as a divine being and not acknowledge other created beings as divine as well? High vibing or low vibing, because they both exist. It's the duality of this world. It's the duality of this life that we are experiencing. There's hot, there's cold, there's up, there's down, there's in, there's out, there's, you name it, left, right. There's duality. There's happy, there's sad. There's depressed, there's joyful, there's like anxiety, there's peace. Like, there is duality in everything. And so instead of getting caught up in whether something is high vibing or low vibing, it is my responsibility to understand and accept that everything is divine. I have a high vibing and a low vibing side. Some people will call that your shadow side versus your light. Some people, your shadow side versus your higher self. Like, there's so many different terms for it, but the point is there's duality. And if there's duality in myself, if I can identify the duality in myself, when I am not vibing high, I'm a booger bear. Don't mess with me. Don't talk to me. Don't say the wrong thing to me. Listen. I've been sitting here talking for 24 minutes. Let me be vibing low. I can talk for even longer, spewing toxic, negative shit if I chose to. It's who I am when I vibe low. tend to bitch and bicker a lot. But I recognize that in myself. And I do the work to make sure that I'm vibing as high as I possibly can, because I prefer high vibing Kristen. I prefer it. I know my kids prefer it. Pretty sure other people that I share space with prefer me when I'm high vibing versus when I'm low vibing. It benefits my space. It benefits myself. It benefits others around me when I'm vibing high. So I make it a point to vibe on the frequency I find pleasure, I find satisfactory for me, for myself. That does not mean I do not have that other side. Doesn't mean that at all. I absolutely have that other side. But I'm aware of that other side. And if I can choose to love myself, I'm aware. I know that I have dual sides. Therefore, I can do the work to heal whatever would cause me to vibe low. And by choosing to heal, I'm doing the things that bring fulfillment and satisfaction to myself. I'm loving myself. When I'm vibing low, I go outside and I ground myself. I sit in nature. Those are things that I enjoy doing. I take a shower and allow water to cleanse, because that is what water does. It's one of the many, many benefits of water. I check what it is that I'm eating. Have I been eating too much bullshit? I get in these modes where I'm eating brownies like, but I also have I experience the impact of having so much sugar and not having it balanced out with the good shit. So I do the things that heal my body, that heal my experience, which is loving myself. I take responsibility. Love, taking responsibility for the object of one's affection. When I love myself, that's when I really begin to experience healing. And as I'm healing myself, I begin to value myself. I begin to value my space, which means I become protective of myself and my space, because I don't want anything or anyone to come and negatively impact the work that I have been doing. Therefore, I'm capable of being Kristen authentically and holistically. Know you, love you, heal you, be you, because it's only one. My experience impacts nature. Me even sharing my experience with nature to whomever's choosing to listen still at this point impacts you, because now you have no choice but to now what you do with the information, but you've been made aware. If you weren't thinking about or considering nature the way that I have, at least you've been aware that that is definitely a reality, somebody's reality, my reality. You choose whether that's your truth or not. That don't have anything to do with me. But I've done my part by sharing. I've done my part by simply being. So I encourage you to know you, to love you, to take responsibility for the things that you've learned about yourself, to be intentional with yourself, being intentional with yourself, loving yourself. You're going to heal yourself. You're going to find healing. And as you heal, being is just exactly what it is. Being, day in and day out. Until next time, peace and love. I will tell you, make sure you like, share, and subscribe if this is something that vibrates or resonates with you. I absolutely appreciate the input. I absolutely appreciate journeying with people. We're all co-creators. Your experience will impact my experience. My experience impacts your experience. So if you're rocking with me, show a little bit of love. And then also feel free to reach out. Feel free to go and visit the website, the Apothecary, OneYou Apothecary, and see if there's any of the tools that I offer that might benefit you as well. I do offer consultations if you are looking to connect in some kind of way. Let's make it happen. Now, until next time, peace and love.